Welcome everyone. Happy Thursday. I'm the Grace Strega and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Thursday, October 17th, 2024. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first two cards in our 5-card spread? Two cards we are starting our day off with today are Hierophant in its reversal in combination with our Judgment card in its upright. So, lot of this full moon energy right now. And one of the things I like to point out about Aries energy, fresh start, unconventionality, taking new approaches, new innovations. We talked a lot about this. We saw a lot of those energetic hurdles over the last few days, not allowing oneself to feel frustrated, being able to observe the energetic problem so that you can apply different perspectives to it. Right? And a lot of that clarity coming through right now. This, and I think even now, like this is why we're going to talk a lot about making sure that you're being very intentional today, because that space of intentionality, a lot of that breakthrough that we're coming through right now feels like it's on the cusp of like an energetic breakdown. Like, right? It's like the breakdown that suddenly leads to a breakthrough. So a lot of that, like a lot of that feeling, right? A lot of that like effort, that's what's effectively allowing right now that amplification of being able to navigate forward to a certain extent and allowing that to help move you in the directionality of those unconventional approaches, of those new directions. And there's a lot of, I need to say even now, this is why, and this is this intentionality we were speaking towards. Moving right now with that intentionality, that recognition of that intentionality, being able to build into that pathwork of purpose. Now, for masculine and feminine energy deep within divine union right now, a lot of this work that we're energetically seeing has to do in relationality to building forth and recognizing and giving one another support along the way. You'll recall that this is a lot of exhaustive energy right now, deep within divine union. There's a lot of this work that we see right now that feels like it's trying to move in a tireless way. What is the energy doing right now in that sense of tirelessness? Prioritizing care of the self. Remembering that it's okay to take care of oneself in the energy of working tirelessly, because the only way you can work tirelessly is if you take care of the self. So there's a lot of this energy that is building into that pathwork of prioritization and taking new unconventional approaches on the way. These could be new habits. These could be new projects. This could be like new approaches. This could even be new perspectives. Why? Because a lot of this energy having that work, and we even talked about that, stepping back from something for a minute almost creates that sense of understanding that allows you to come forward in a different way. So a lot of this work right now that we're seeing, it feels like new, right? It feels like a lot of new energy. Now, masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union, very much coming forward right now, very much doing a lot of that work. And this is why we talked about the importance right now, if you're trying to come into divine union and you're feeling a little bit of that energetic frustration, not allowing the emotionality to move you away from intentionality. And we need to talk about this a bit, because this is sometimes, I need to stress this. This is actually a bit of a difficulty point in the Aries cycle, right? Because sometimes when you have so much energy, it can be hard to focus, right? Sometimes when you have so much energy, like that ability of navigating forward and letting that intentionality like dictate the energetic direction, that's like we see even now that a lot of energy coming into divine union is working on that fear, that space or that place of prioritization. And that prioritization point that we're effectively seeing right now, it's like it's giving me like scratchy sweater in like the biggest degree, because and we were talking about this over the last few days. These are either energies that are coming into divine union that are looking at the past with a completely different optic or recognizing how one was standing in one's own way. And for both of those energies right now, it can feel very frustrating, right? Because that modality or that experience, working through the frustration that arises as you come into a breakthrough, right? It requires that ability to articulate through it. And for feminine and masculine right now, it's having a different impact. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. For feminine, coming into that space or place of healing from trauma of the past. What does it feel like when we're trying to heal from trauma of the past? Reminding oneself and reaffirming, working towards that sense of recognition of patience. The difference between the feminine that feels that sense of healing from masculine energy that may have come towards them in an unhealed space that said, wait for me. Wait for me to be energetically ready. Wait for me to be energetically ready. Wait for me to be energetically ready. And then faulting the feminine for not being more energetically patient to wait for the masculine. Whereas the feminine now is healing from that by seeing and recognizing the masculine energy that comes towards feminine and doesn't make the feminine wait, but instead says, be patient with me. The sense of actively seeing someone trying. The sense of someone, again, in that Aries energy, learning how to do something. Not necessarily having the full confidence, but having the intentionality and the focus in trying to do something. Because what we recognize is in the moment that we try, we become. Often when we say, I'm trying to do this, it's in that state of trying that we immediately become it. So we see even now that this is a lot of the feminine energy coming into divine union, healing the wounds on the self that were created by masculine in the past that faulted the feminine not having patience, where this is the feminine that's discovering that well of patience, that endless space of patience that is ready for the masculine energy that doesn't say wait for me, but says I'm willing to build this with you, right? Like that is the energy of the feminine healing from the feeling of a masculine energy that is prioritizing the feminine in that energetic journey. For masculine, a lot of that same work right now. But if these are modalities where masculine, you are taking different approaches. You're moving towards something that you would have initially moved away from. You're feeling a lot of that. I see it even now with the masculine coming into divine union, like this ickiness in being able to take something that feels like an internal process and bring it outside of the self. But this is a reminder that when we're working in the space of emotions and intimacy, if we aren't able to articulate it, you don't know it's there, right? If you can't see it and feel it, just feeling it isn't enough. So we see even now that this is a lot of the masculine energy that is working on externalizing an internal process. And this is the masculine that says to feminine in that modality, I'm trying really hard. It's hard for me to communicate about this. I really am trying. Please be patient as I do this. And this is the feminine that recognizes the masculine that says, get off my back, be patient, wait for me, versus a masculine that says, this is really hard for me. I'm like, it's very difficult, because that's the masculine saying, I'm learning how to do this and I'm stumbling along the way. And this is the masculine that's starting to feel that energetic support of the feminine. That again, what is the feminine saying to masculine? As long as we're moving towards the same energetic goal, I'm here with you every step of the way. While for masculine and feminine energy that is in separation, this is the articulation of feeling like I see a lot of this energy right now, feeling validated and vindicated in the pathwork thus far, potentially by meeting energetic counterparts that have shared or validate the journey of discovery that you've reached in finding them. Because if these are energetic connections of someone that were looking towards something and even unpacking it with the new potential counterpart, These are not energies that said, yeah, I stayed until something got like not fun and then I left. This is not the energy that goes, yeah, I didn't like how they were acting, so I just like left to see if they'll change the way they act. No, this is the energy that says, I stayed. I did the best that I could. I went through every process that I could to try to heal an energetic connection until finally there was no other choice but the ultimate choice in recognizing that that wasn't something that could heal, but something that was getting energetically worse. So that's a point of separation. And so we see even now that for a lot of that energy coming into that state or space of recognizing and identifying this is a lot of the energy that is feeling the validation point in their point of determination. They're seeing the fact that they're on their path. And this is the energy that's effectively trusting in the process, because that's the energy that is feeling that sense or that space of finding energetic counterparts that see them on that journey. Center card for our 5-card spread for today is clarification coming through right now with our 9 of Cups in its upright. Now for masculine and feminine energy, I mean, there's like a lot of, I want to say, a lot of like energetic, like there's a lot of energy right now. We've been talking about this, making peace with things, right? Prioritizing the energetic peace to a certain extent. And I see even now that for a lot of that energy, prioritizing that peace, this is a lot of energy that is prioritizing and focusing on what a stable relationship looks like. That sense or that space that the gift or the quality or characteristic that we give one another in partnership is existent upon that energetic stability. So we see even now what is happening for a lot of this energy in separation, prioritizing the stability that we create inside the self that we're then able to give to those outside of the self, right? So we see that even here. And so for a lot of that energy right now, I have to say that for the energy in separation, there's something about this Aries full moon that like, it feels like a moment of balance. It feels like a bit of a restoration. While for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union, a lot of this work that I'm seeing right now is based upon or built upon that recognition point in doing that work. And what is the energy coming into divine union doing right now? Prioritizing that energetic stability, building those energetic bridges. It's hard when you're building a bridge, right? Like it's hard because it feels like it's not working until it comes into a point of connection. And so we see even now that for so much of that energy, doing that work right now, facilitating forward in that way. This is a lot. I see a lot of energy being like, I'm doing something in a way that I haven't before. And it's hard, but it's working, right? Like I see a little bit of that energy coming into divine union saying it's really hard. It's like that was that joke that I was saying the other day when I was saying, energy right now doing this work, someone looking at someone and saying, how is it going in that relationship? And someone smiling and going, awful, like awful, because that awfulness that we're seeing here is like the awfulness of like that, like it's like the energetic soreness of like doing the work and recognizing that it's working, but also realizing that it's very energetically hard in the process, because this is the energy that's, it's like, oh no, like, oh yeah, that was me running away because I was afraid of being intimate. Yes, that was me. Like that was me sticking around for places that weren't for me instead of finding the place like that were like, so you see even now, like a lot of that energy doing a lot of that unpacking, right? Building into some really beautiful healing here, but it's not easy. Like you thought the healing process was supposed to feel good? No. You ever healed from something? It stinks. But that's the energy right now that feels the difference between the good pain of healing versus like, just like that moment of like, like working something out, like I see like the energy being like, I'm getting into that space where I'm learning how to do something, and it's hard, and I'm questioning myself every step of the way, but I'm seeing energetic process. Now, a second two card, and this is what the energy deep within divine union is doing. The energy deep within divine union is just like making it work. We're gonna make it work. We're gonna make it work. This is a lot of the energy within divine union. Like, what do we have to do to make it work? Because that's when you're invested in making it work, you make it work. So a lot of that energy right now is taking a lot of unconventional approaches in the process of doing so. The final two cards in our 5-card spread for today are, we have here our 5 of Wands in its reversal, in combination with our 4 of Wands in its reversal. So, I have to amplify and just articulate here. Masculine and feminine, deep within divine union, I just keep seeing to a certain extent that this is the energy that prioritizes peace to a certain extent, and like prioritizes that sense of building into that pathwork of energetic balance. So when we come into those spaces, when we come into those places, and I need to describe this, like this is the energy that it working through something to a certain extent, it's recognizing and identifying how to make something energetically easier, right? And we just keep seeing even now, like there's something really beautiful about that, because this is the energy that just doesn't necessarily look at the challenges. They just look towards the solutions in whatever context that feels like it needs to be done. And so we see even now, like a lot of that work in terms of doing so, like I want to describe this as such that it says to me that a lot of that energy feels like they have their work cut out for them, but they're also very invested in doing and I see even now, because of those unconventional approaches, there's a little bit of uncertainty in relationality to what the future holds. But even here we see that feels like a positivity point, because I see even now that a lot of that energy is working very fastidiously, focusing on the present and letting that focus drive the determination point in relationality. And it's like, in a way, it's like letting go of the energetic outcome. So I told you, like the release of a manifestation goal, if you will. Now for masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now, so much of this energy that I see right now coming into divine union, this is the energy that, again, it's a little bit of that uncertainty in relationality to what the future holds, because a lot of that energy, I told you, doing that work, trying to facilitate into that point of healing. This isn't the energy that is idealizing something, right? This is an energy that we see right now, it's coming into divine union, that's being very practical, focusing right now on the present. But even here, a lot of that energy saying this is difficult, but there's nowhere else I'd rather be. There's a lot of energy that's arriving into their manifestation goal, because the articulation of saying there's nowhere I would rather be than here with you doing this. This is the energy that is feeling that sense of building forth with someone that is also focused on finding and building into a pathwork of balance. So again, a lot of that same energetic feeling of almost and I see a lot of this energy going, I didn't expect it would feel like this, right? Like I didn't expect it would feel like this, because this is often something that is very important to recognize with our manifestation goals. The identification point of building into that sense of rigor and understanding and learning the process of what it takes to build into something. Like that is the journey of the self that helps us come into that sense of understanding the self in the process. Now for masculine and feminine energy, that is, in separation. A lot of this energy in separation right now, it's the same thing that we're seeing. A bit of that letting go of the manifestation goal. And I see even now some of that energy moving forward into potentially new energetic partnerships, or having something that feels like being like, I don't know where this is going. I've never really felt like an energetic connection with someone like this before, right? But this is the important thing that's happening right now, is a lot of the energy coming into those partnerships. They're not sugarcoating it. You know, they're not building into, like, this is the energy right now that is like, and I told you, this is energy that's in separation, that's released a manifestation goal. So even now, I keep getting a lot of energy saying now is not the ideal time. Like a lot of energy potentially coming into divine union saying, I'm not really looking for energetic connection, but because even here, there's something about coming into a connectivity point and sharing the frustrations with another that almost looks towards like some of that similarity in terms of understanding and recognizing and saying, this is not what I expected, but there's something unexpected happening here. It's a lot of that energy of the pleasant surprise, continuing to get clarification between our Hierophant in its reversal in combination with our Judgment card in its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Page of Cups. Now, for masculine and feminine energy in separation right now, I like this because it feels easy. And I don't mean easy, like one does not care. I mean, I see energetic connections that are potentially forming right now that feel somewhat effortless, you know? And I need to stress this. This isn't the effortless. This is not the effortless of saying, oh, it looks like that person doesn't care. You know, it's the effortless of feeling the easement in matching an energetic vibration. It's the feeling of coming into or coming towards someone and feeling that the easement of shared experience, if you will. So that easement and shared experience, like I almost see a lot of these, like a lot of this casuality that's like occurring right now in some of these new energetic connections. Because I see even now a lot of that energy being like, you know, I'm not looking for anything. Just gonna see how it goes. But like even here, there's something about that release of expectation that's allowing for a feeling of genuine enjoyment. Now, for masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now, I'm just seeing that there's a lot of that work that's being facilitated, specifically and particularly around the sense that, and this is the Aries energy, something that's not easy to do, not great, but getting easier. Getting like it's like you know, like it's like that. It's like right? Like that's what often happens, because even here we see that what happens when you're trying to heal wounds, particularly in relationality to around intimacy, is like, you know, you got to get through that wall of cringe. You know, you gotta get through that wall of cringe to a certain extent. But then it's like when you get through the wall of cringe, you're like, oh, this is nice. So even here, and this is having a different impact on masculine and feminine energy. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, right? For a lot of this masculine energy, like that ability of being able to be into it, like what happens when you take that energetic risk, right? What happens when you build into a space of security with feminine that says, I'm trying to create a safe space for you to be your authentic self, and masculine's going, no, I can't. And then you finally do so. Having that modality of the feminine, and masculine almost like releasing something and being like, that was a big deal, and feminine being like, like good. Like that sense of feeling that, like that recognition, like almost having that supportive environment. What we see even now is a lot of that energy is feeling the release and relief of coming into a space of being able to emotionally take something that was an internal process and bring it forward to a certain extent. So we see even now that there's something about the masculine building into that sense of energetic safety and security in being able to express one's emotionality and not feeling the emotional volatility of the feminine in the process. What is the feminine doing right now to energetically heal? This is a lot of the feminine energy coming into emotional balance, saying to the masculine, I am your safe space. The emotionality does not create volatility or reactivity, communicating through it, articulating upon it, not utilizing the emotions to push away, but being able to speak towards them in such a way that you can build bridges with them. So what are these energies doing right now? They're both doing something in a way that they haven't before. Feminine, building into a sense of emotional resiliency in relationality to the masculine, speaking openly without taking it energetically personally, right? And the masculine feeling that framework of energetic safety by opening up to the feminine and feeling the supportive security of a feminine that says, I am here for you. And the consistency that the feminine provides the masculine creates that safe space when the masculine feels like they can open up and become their emotionally open, authentic self. Now, for masculine and feminine deep within divine union right now, I feel like a lot of this energy right now of the energy in divine union, I just see even now, like there's a little bit of this there's a bit of this brightening that's occurring here. There's so much of this energy that I'm seeing right now that feels it almost feels like that sense of delight or easement to a certain extent. Because even here, like a lot of that energy working forward in such a way, there's like, it's giving a lot of that energy here of, how do I describe this? I mean, it really does kind of have weekend vibes attached to it, because like I'm seeing even now that for a lot of the energy deep within divine union, like giving oneself a little treat or having that moment or feeling like, and remember, because we talked about the fact that for so much of this energy right now, deep within divine union, that feeling of working tirelessly, like it's again, it's that reminder of being able to find joy in that process, like delighting in the work, if you will. And so even here we see that there's a lot of that energy that is working very fastidiously on creating that sense of energetic delight for one another. Because this is the energy that says within divine union, if we're going to put that energetic effort in, we may as well be in a space of being like, being in a point of positivity as we do so. It's like the gratitude associated with it. Continuing to get clarification between our judgment card in its upright in combination with our 9 of cups in its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our 9 of swords in its reversal. I have to say, and this is what I meant about this Aries, like making sure that you're navigating this Aries energy with a sense of energetic easement, like coming into that space or place of just saying to oneself, like, as long as you can find a place for something, everything is like that, that's like it's giving that sense of energetic confidence, right? So there's a lot of this energy right now, deep within divine union, that is focused and prioritizing on building into that sense of energetic stability for one another. And a lot of that work that we're seeing even now, and I want to describe this as the act of energetic compassion, right? Because this isn't the energy that feels that point of anxiety and then feels like they want to bring that anxiety out to those around them. This is a lot of the energy that does that internal processing, if you will, right? Navigating their own doubts and fears, and then bringing forth in such a way that they're able to find balance. So this is the gift that the energetic counterparts give one another, right? Because a lot of it is like there's that sense or space of saying, like, where there's a will, there's a way, right? The more that like, as long as when you're focused and concentrated on creating that, then it's not necessarily a question of whether, like, if it's going to happen. It's just a question of when it's going to happen. It's a question of how it's going to happen, right? So this is a lot of those energies right now that are utilizing unconventional approaches in relationality to building into that sense of energetic balance, right? While for masculine and feminine energy that is coming into divine union, much the same that we're seeing here, right? Taking new approaches to what may feel are previously like recognized hurdles, right? Because a lot of that observation, right? We saw that there was a lot of that sense of recognizing and identifying what those energetic hurdles are. So for masculine right now, that could be navigating the abandonment wound. That could be navigating some issues related to communication, having that inability or that hard point expressing what feels like is internal, bringing it forward externally. So we see even now, like for a lot of the masculine energy, doing so, feeling the difficulty of doing so, but then experiencing a bit of an energetic breakthrough. Like that feels like that, that feels like a moment of discovering yourself or coming into a deeper connection with oneself. While for feminine, that ability of, again, not assuming that the past is occurring again, right? Letting the past inform, but not letting it overshadow, right? Coming into that space of energetic balance, being patient, if you will. These are the energies that are restoring those energetic connections between themselves by finding parts of themselves that they didn't know were there in the process of prioritizing building those energetic connections. While for masculine and feminine energy right now that are in separation, for a lot of that energy in separation right now, this is a lot of that work that we see that's being facilitated in potentially recognizing and identifying that if these are spaces and places wherein we see and recognize that this is the energy that kind of looks at something to a certain degree and says, oh, it's such a relief getting that off my chest. It's so much easier. I'm so glad that I was able to articulate that. I was so glad I was able to share that, because we see even now that for so much of that energy doing that work, simply coming into that space, feeling that easement, right? Having those energetic breakthroughs to a certain extent. This is a lot of the energy in separation that is articulating upon the past and feeling that sense of mutual energetic connection. And that's a lot of the energy that's coming into that state or space of emotional release. And that emotional release is bittersweet, because that emotional release, especially you'll see here with these two nines in combination, we've got the nine of cups here in its upright and the nine of swords in its reversal. Like I almost see a lot of that energy in separation, like going through and articulating upon something and saying to another, if you see something that I did wrong, or would you do differently, would you correct me? I have to say, this is the energy that's recognizing potential new counterparts in the space of someone saying, I'm not feeling validated in terms of knowing that what I did is energetically right. But someone that always goes through that process of identifying and looking for more, trying to learn, trying to understand and recognize. I feel like a lot of that energy looking towards something and saying, it seems to me that you did everything you could and then you tried to do what was best, right? But even in that moment, like that sense of like compassion coming forth, because there's a lot of energy here that's recognizing and identifying new energetic connections via the emotional compassion that they have towards their energetic past, right? Now continuing to get clarification between our Nine of Cups in combination with our Five of Wands in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our King of Swords in its reversal. Now for the energy right now in separation, I mean across all the frequencies, this is having a different impact on masculine and feminine energy. Bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. You know, I gotta say, there's a lot of this work. There's a lot of this work, and we've talked about this. It's often when you're navigating situations from a place of integrity and compassion, it's almost easier to blame the self. Why is it easier to blame the self? It's easier to blame the self because at least if something is occurring within you, you can recognize and identify that there's something that you can potentially work on, right? And so we see even now, like a lot of that energy, like this is how the energy is recognizing themselves in separation. Because this isn't the energy that moves forward and feels like absolutely perfectly validated in every moment. There's like a lot of that energy that goes through that process, right? Goes through that self-criticism, that self-determination. They're self-reviewing themselves to a certain extent. And that ability of doing so, working through that, it's hard for masculine because what occurs in those modalities where masculine has to accept that there's something outside of the self that cannot change. It makes the masculine feel powerless, right? But this is a lot of the masculine energy that is recognizing and identifying that the ability to identify and recognize like what deserves putting energetic force towards versus what we need to energetically accept. That is the greatest act of energetic strength, because what type of strength does that create? It creates integrity. Integrity is simply the ability to discern what is deserving to put force towards versus what is not. Because one can put force towards anything, but the sense or the space of calibrating such that you recognize what creates a space of not moving out of alignment with one's own path and purpose in the process of putting force towards something. That is a lot of the masculine that comes into understanding the self via recognizing what is in their power to control is limitless. But what is in the power to control without losing the sense of self in the process is finite. So we see even now that for a lot of that energy, being able to maintain that energetic point, like that's a lot of energy that almost looks and says, I could have, and said, but I never would. You know, I feel like I could have pushed that, but it would not have been energetically right. Right? And so feminine, seeing the masculine in separation, going through that process of going, I could, no, right? Straightening, right? Straightening, coming into a sense of saying, no, I identify and know where my balance point is, and I don't deviate far from it. That is a lot of that energy that feels that says to masculine in separation, you seem like one of the strongest people I've ever seen. Because that is the energy of them. What does feminine see in masculine that is able to come into that space of saying, I am strong, but I am mindful of my energetic strength. My limitations are my gift, because my limitations define me, and my limitations are my integrity. So we see even now that for a lot of the energy navigating in that space, there's a lot of the feminine saying, and masculine saying to feminine, maybe that makes me weak, and feminine looking at masculine and being like, that doesn't make you weak, that makes you incredibly strong. While for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union, for a lot of that energy coming into divine union right now, that state or that space of like feeling, I see even now a lot of that masculine energy working to externalize an internal process. And this is a lot of the masculine energy that may be healing that sense or space of feeling like the reason I kept that in was because I was told that if I brought it outwards, it would make me look weak, right? And this is how a lot of the masculine energy is healing right now. Because this is, again, the same exact energetic work that's happening for the energy of the masculine coming into divine union. And this is the same message that the feminine saying to masculine. And this is feminine saying to masculine, when you are able to internalize an external process, but not react to it, that doesn't make you energetically weak. That makes you incredibly strong, right? While for masculine and feminine energy, bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. For masculine and feminine, deep within divine union, a lot of this work that we're seeing right now, deep within divine union, it's not, I mean, again, you feel it until you heal it. And so I see even now, and this is more of that work that we saw in relationality to navigating strength. We saw that masculine and feminine energy right now, deep within divine union, feeling the intensity of energetic overwhelm in relationality, trying to prioritize. And what is this energy saying to one another, deep within divine union? Prioritize the self, because I prioritize you. Your intrinsic value is not what you bring forth. You are the energetic prize. So that is that sense or that space of saying, honor yourself, take care of yourself, because that care and compassion is such that the prioritization point is the self. And that is the energy of the compassion. And that's and this is my problem with any of the energy in divine union right now, because I see the energy going, I want you to prioritize the self. And then the other person going, what about you? Not me though, right? Like that's the energy going, not me though, right? That's the energy going, you, like this is why the counterparts are saying this to one another. Because the energy is going, everybody should prioritize the self. Except me. Like, accept me. So this is the energy going, no, you too. You have to be a part of that energetic compassion as well, right? Now, continuing to get clarification between our 5 of Wands in its reversal in combination with our 4 of Wands in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our star in its reversal. So again, this is a lot of that energy that we're seeing right now. Look at these companionate energies right now, deep within divine union. There's anxiety here. There's fear. Do these energies reflect that fear towards one another? No. Right? Like that sense of doubting the self. This is that thing I said about like, you need to do this. What about you? Not me though. Right? That's the selflessness, if you will. Like that's the selflessness that we're effectively seeing here, because these are the energies that work tirelessly for those around them, sometimes at the cost of the energetic self, which is why the energy is saying to one another in those moments, hey, you're deserving of rest too. You're also deserving of being able to come into that space of prioritizing the self. And this is the energy that has a hard time giving it back towards the self, even if they're giving it towards those around them. While for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union, for so much of this energy right now coming into divine union, this is a lot of the energy that's seeing themselves in ways that you might not have seen yourself before via the energetic connection. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I don't mean that these are the energies going, you're always like this, you're always like that. No, not like that. I mean that this is the energy that is doing something in a way that they haven't done it before. Recognizing that it's difficult. Recognizing that it's a vulnerability. Holding space for each other in the process of learning and saying to one another on the way, again, masculine, you have to be patient with me. I'm learning how to do this, and I feel very energetically weak as I do so. Feminine energy saying, take all the time you need. Because this is a feminine saying, I don't think that you're being weak right now. I feel like I can tell the fact that this is you being very strong. And this is feminine energy saying, I feel energetically like I'm working through my own feeling of conscientiousness. I'm not trying to take anything that you say personally. I'm trying to work on that space of building into energetic resilience and not letting the emotionality create volatility, but just being able to feel it and then express it from a point of creating that safe environment. So we see even now, like, these are the energies that are learning to work tirelessly, not reacting to how they feel, but looking and asking oneself, what do they need? How can I energetically help? Right? That's the thing about mindfulness. It's not the over concentration on the self. It's recognizing that the self is not the full ultimate encapsulation point of everyone around. It's observing that someone else may be going through a different energetic process. So we see even now, like, there's a lot of that energy that is identifying and recognizing that, even in the process of doing so. Now, for masculine and feminine energy, continuing forward, for the energy in separation right now, these are the energies that are coming towards one another in separation and saying, I wish there was something else I could have done. Right? Like, these are the energies that are not like, woohoo, I'm in separation. Like, these are energies that are genuinely frustrated and saying, I wish there was something else I could have done, but I know there is something I couldn't do. Right? And both of those energies are experiencing that in different ways. This is masculine saying, I feel energetically powerless in what I can control versus moving out of energetic alignment of the self. Right? This is masculine going, I'm not going to sacrifice my integrity in order to stay in an energetic counterpart relationship. And this is the feminine saying, you should never feel like you have to. Right? And this is the feminine saying to masculine, I want to feel like I'm the energetic priority. And if the masculine isn't able to prioritize me, I don't want to feel like I have to try to change to convince the masculine that I should be the energetic priority. And what is the masculine saying to feminine in separation? You should never have to do that. So these are the energies that are seeing one another and reaffirming those wounds that potentially were created in the past connections. Continuing to get clarification between our Page of Cups and its upright in combination with our Nine of Swords and its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Page of Wands and its reversal. Now, masculine and feminine energy in separation. I see even now, like, this is what I mean about a little bit of this work on the pleasant surprise here. Because I see a little bit of this energy in separation, stumbling upon these new energetic connections and being like, I didn't expect to meet someone right now. I'm not, like, this is a lot of energy going, like, I see a lot of this energy going, I just released my manifestation goal. I'm saying, like, I'm not looking for something right now. And this is a lot of this energy going, I'm not looking for something right now. And then they're coming into these new energetic connections. But I'm also seeing here, and I need to stress this too, this is a lot of energy that's healing in the process of building into a connection by, articulate. And I need to, like, this is why I see even now, like, that sense or that point of energetic focus is, again, the determination point in terms of saying and recognizing. I'm going to say it again. This is not energy that separates and says, I'm going to leave that person energetically alone until they change, because that's the energy that says that that's cruelty. So that space or place of someone coming into a place of saying, I know that there's closure there, because this is the energy that says that's not something, this is energy that says I didn't energetically move away from someone for the hopes that they would change. This is the energy that says I waited for someone to energetically change, and now there's that moment of surrender in relationality to proceeding forward. That's further, this is why this is energetic closure here, because there's so much that I see here that's just the energy that feels that point. It's like the moment that experience is validated in alignment and saying, I experienced something similar, right? It's like in that point and in that modality that there's a breakthrough, because it's in that breakthrough point that this is the energy that says and sees and reaffirms and says, like, what is the energy saying to one another? It doesn't sound like that was something that you created. It sounds like that was something you were navigating. It sounds like something about, like, again, masculine saying to feminine. Sounds like you guys wanted different things. Feminine saying to potentially masculine. It's not your responsibility to feel like you have to fix everything. Fixing is the work of two. So what is happening here? There's a lot of energy that's finding one another and saying this is someone that prioritizes and understands that balance is not something that you just fall into. It's something that you work for or you work towards. That's what the energy right now coming into divine union is doing. They're working towards that energetic balance. It's not easy. It's difficult, right? It requires, like I see it even now, it requires a lot. And a lot of that energy is feeling uncertain as they go, but they're not feeling uncertain in relationality to the direction that they're headed. They're feeling uncertain because they're doing things in ways that they haven't before for the purpose of continuing forward on that journey. While for masculine and feminine energy, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, deep within divine union, a lot of this energy deep within divine union right now, I want to say managing energetic expectations. I just kind of see this to a certain extent. A lot of this energy right now, having to work towards that sense or space of feeling like if you have to energetically, disappoint energy, this is the energy that says to a certain extent that feeling of disappointment, that's the energy that says that prioritization point on taking of having to make sure that one is in a space that you can be an energetic service to others requires that sense of discernment. So we see even now that for a lot of that energy doing so, like I see a bit of that energetic recall that's happening here. But there's a lot of that energy that almost, again, reminds and reaffirms and says everything is possible in the pathwork of time and prioritization. So there's a lot of that energy that is working right now on setting those energetic expectations. While for masculine and feminine energy continuing forward in this, between our Nine of Swords in its reversal in combination with our King of Swords in its reversal, may I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming right now with our Tower in its upright. And we're going to talk about this right now. I want everyone to calm down because I know how everyone gets. I know how everyone gets when you see Tower cards. But we've been talking about this for a bit of time right now. There's positive Tower moments and there are negative Tower moments, right? Now what, and I want to say that especially here with the combination, do you see this combination here of this Nine of Cups and its upright in combination with the Tower here, in combination with our Nine of Swords in its reversal and the King of Swords in its reversal? So I need to stress that one of the things that's really valuable and important to recognize right now is, and we talked about this, it's a lot of this energy of this moon, which is like the sense of like the breakthrough that feels like it's arriving like at a moment of energetic breakdown, right? Like that moment where you feel so frustrated. You're like, "Ugh," but then suddenly you're like, boom, you get like a light bulb, right? So you see even now, like this is the energetic light bulb, right? This is the energetic light bulb that's popping up like underneath that moment of frustration, right? Like bing. So we see even now that for a lot of the energy facilitating and working forward in that way, you know, it's like it feels like inspiration. It feels like a sense of recognition or a point of clarity. So we see even now, like that's why we're saying like now is not the time to be reactive. Now is not the time to match energy if you don't like something coming towards you. Now is the time to take a different energetic approach, right? Allowing for that sense or that space of insight and clarity to override anything that feels energetically destabilizing. Now, for masculine and feminine energy that is in separation, this is foundational because we see even now like there's a lot of that energy that potentially was like in separation that feels like they're navigating something that feels like it's fundamentally breaking down around them, right? Like that's a lot of that energy that said like that walking away, that letting go of the manifestation goal. But what is this energy doing in that space? Like they're finding that energetic bridge. They're finding it's like that, like once this comes down, they're like there's like a bridge there, like there's like it's that sense or that space that in order to move towards what is for you, you have to recognize and identify what is not for you, right? And that can feel painful, right? That can feel hard, that can feel devastating. But a lot of this energy going through that pathwork of validation, if you will, assessing and saying to themselves, is there something I would do energetically different? And if that's the energy that goes, and this is the and again, this is the energy going, like little things like that going, but this is the energy that again, like is reaffirming and building new energetic connections and saying to someone, remembering that it's not the fact that we're perfect, like not the fact that we're energetically perfect, that we're always on that pathwork of learning. This is a lot of that energy that is both feeling, like the frustration in recognizing what they could do differently, but also in that moment, reaffirming their own energetic commitment and saying, and again, what is the affirmation of a lot of that energy and separation? A good energetic connection does not require absolute perfection. It requires a modality, a space, like that's why we use the word modality. It allows for a space to be able to come into recognition, to be able to come into understanding. And so we see even now that a lot of that energy working through that in separation is potentially having breakthroughs because it is the observation in the difference between what is within one's own power to change versus what one must just accept as you move towards what is for you. While for masculine and feminine energy that is coming into divine union, this is a lot of that energy that is like this is a clearing process because this is a lot of this energy that is recognizing their own tendencies. They're recognizing their own limitations. They're going, and this is what I mean. Like, how are things going? Awful. But with a smile on their face, right? Because this is the energy that's doing that work, navigating that process, feeling a lot of those changes happening within, and then feeling the release and relief and saying like, there's progress, there's progress. While for masculine and feminine energy deep within divine union right now. So much of that energy deep within divine union is prioritizing that level or degree of energetic security and doing that work and facilitating it. And, and I see even now, like that sense or that space of saying to one another, make sure that you're taking care of the self in the process, right? Because this is the energy that says anything that you're trying to do shouldn't come at the cost of you, right? Like this is the energy that says making sure that you're doing that work and fastidiously taking that sense of compassion towards one each other. So we see even now, like that's a lot of that energy that is very fastidious towards one another because they see each other working so tirelessly and they're trying to do everything they can to try to support one another along the way, right? That's the energetic battery there. Like that's the energy that like works like tired, like that. And that's that space saying, what do you need? What do you need? And again, that space of saying you need to take care of yourself. Like it goes back and forth. So this is a lot of that compassion. Continuing to get clarification between our King of Swords in its reversal in combination with our star energy in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Hangman in its reversal. I love seeing that card in its reversal. For masculine and feminine energy right now, this is giving like a lot of this energy in relationality to, I want to say, it really does feel like a sigh of relief to a certain extent. It really does feel like there's something that's happening within divine union that just like it just feels like a lot of that energetic release. But one of the things that we're identifying within that to a certain extent is the fact that for so much of that energy facilitating and fostering within that, this is more of that breakthrough that we were identifying and recognizing that a lot of this energy of the full moon brings to a certain extent. Because a lot of that there, it's creating that sense or space of helping the energy deep within divine union recognize and identify, overcoming their own anxiety or overcoming their own limitations, feeling that sense of energetic support to a certain degree. And one of the ways that we see that the energy deep within divine union is doing that is recognizing that coming into that, like I told you, pushing one's own envelope, being able to do something that's difficult, but feeling that easement, something that is getting easier. This is the energy that, again, feels that sense or that space of security, specifically via the sense of giving each other support along the way, but then also finding it within the self in the process. Now, for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union, very much exactly the same message. So this is very positive in the fact that we see that a lot of the energy coming into divine union is in the same alignment with the energy deep within. Now, for masculine and feminine in separation right now, there's a lot of this energy that I'm seeing right now in separation that is feeling... There's a lot of this energy that I'm seeing right now in separation that is feeling, I want to say that's recognizing that sense of feeling energetically validated, because the closure comes in many forms, right? So that sense of closure that we see that is occurring right now, for a lot of that energy in separation, that sense or that space of feeling the validation in someone that recognizes what you energetically went through and says, I went through something similar. Having that conversation, going through that laundry list of asking oneself if there was something that you could do energetically different. This is a lot of that energy that even in that process is continuing to clear. Like clearing a lot of that energetic karma of the past, because this is the energy that finds a clear mirror in the new energetic connections. that again, maybe there are notes there. Like I'm not saying that these are energies that are looking towards one another and saying like, perfect job. Like this is the energy that says, well, you probably could have handled that a little bit better. And someone being like, yeah, I know I could have. But this is the energy saying, but again, a perfect relationship does not require perfection. It requires a modality to be able to come into. It requires the space to be able to come into alignment. So we see even now that for a lot of that energy, like it feels like I just feel like a lot of these like healthy conversations, even conversations right now, and saying like that, I feel like I feel better for having gotten that off the chest. I feel better for having had that conversation. Now, continuing to get clarification between our Page of Wands in its reversal in combination with our Tower card in its upright. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Six of Swords in its reversal. Now, for masculine and feminine energy in separation right now, one of the things that I'm seeing, like this is a lot of, I want to say this is a lot of that energetic forgiveness to a certain extent. Because I'm just recognizing and identifying that for a lot of this energy and separation, that observational point in articulating and saying to one another, and like I literally see a lot of this energy and separation saying, the desire to energetically stay somewhere was navigating in terms of someone saying it would have been causing more harm if I were to stay. There's a lot of that energy that like reaffirms and says to oneself, yeah, because if you try to heal something that someone else doesn't acknowledge needs to be healed, or someone refuses to come into that space of healing with, then that healing never feels like healing. This is more of that pathwork that we're seeing right now, the masculine coming into that space of integrity and saying like, I'm staying within my integrity in relationality to recognizing when I have to energetically go. While for feminine, a lot of that work in identifying and recognizing that pathwork has to do with much the same. The feminine looking at circumstances and situations and saying to the masculine, I understand the difference between waiting, being patient with someone versus waiting for someone. So we see even now that a lot of that energy having that sense of conciliation, because this is the energy that says, I'm not misunderstanding you. I understand. Like this is the energy of the feminine saying, I wasn't being impatient, and masculine saying, no, I understand you weren't being impatient. That's the difference in being patient with someone and for someone. And this is masculine saying to feminine, it's not that I require perfection, right? And this is the feminine saying to masculine, no, but you recognize that it's not your job to make everything perfect. That perfection is the gift. Trying for perfection is the gift that we give each other, recognizing that we never achieve it. That perfection is an illusion, right? Continuing to get clarified, and for the energy right now coming into divine union, this is the energy that's healing those energetic tendencies in the process. For masculine and feminine, again, feminine, working through that sense of saying, I'm being energetically patient for masculine. The gift of my emotional balance is the greatest gift I can give the masculine. Because if the masculine is showing an observational point in trying, in doing something, working on that point of improvement, this is the feminine saying, my patience is the gift that I create there, because that is the feminine that says to the masculine, you are safe to learn how to do something in that energetic framework, right? While for masculine, coming into divine union with feminine, that ability of saying to the feminine, I'm going to try to do something I haven't before. I'm going to try to take an internal process and bring it outwards and recognize that even though I feel vulnerable and weak in doing so, it's actually something very strong for me to do. And that's the feminine saying, this is the strongest thing I've ever seen you do. Like a lot of this energy is coming forward right now because these are the energies that are learning to do things in ways that feel difficult, but they know are what the other needs in order to build upon that sense or that space of security, because they're prioritizing the energetic balance that they're creating in the partnership. For a lot of the energy deep within divine union right now, that is what a lot of that work is doing. That's what the energy does. They raise the roof. They raise the roof, if you will. Because for a lot of that energy deep within divine union, like that ability of doing so, that observational point, this is the energy that is tireless in that pursuit, right? This is the energy that works on building forward in that way. And this is the energy that says take care of yourself in that process, because that's the energy that's in the pathwork of purpose to such an extent that it feels like it's continually, there's always more to do, right? But giving oneself the grace and saying it's okay if you energetically rest in the process of doing so, remembering that that's not oppositional to doing so, it's fundamental to it. Continuing to get clarification between our Tower card in combination with our Hangman in its upright. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through. Well, we're going to read it transverse because it jumped out of my hands. Clarification coming through right now with our Seven of Pentacles in its transverse. So, for masculine and feminine energy, deep within divine union, and I got to stress this. It varies in relationality to what something energetically takes. This is the externalized problem to a certain extent, right? Because there's a little bit of this energetic patience right now in relationality towards. But building forward in such a way. But I have to stress this. When you're doing something energetically fundamental, the arrival of doing so, like what it brings forth, it's not as energetically necessary. It's simply the It's giving me a lot of the conversation in relationality to craft, or the idea that then in the act of creation there's something that's beautiful that occurs even at it's not just the result, but it's also in the gift of the moment. So we see even now, like that's a lot of that energy that is very much oriented both in the moment, more so very present in the moment, because this is the energy that is focusing on that sense or that place of just concentrating upon those moments and building into that to a certain extent. This is what we mean about releasing the energetic outcome to a certain extent, because there's a little bit of that uncertainty there in relationality to how things move forward. But this is the energy that almost looks at something and says it doesn't necessarily matter, because it doesn't matter when we're moving in a place where we're purposeful. What occurs around that, it's, positive or negative, but it doesn't change one's own sense of energetic purpose, right? Like that's what we talk about when we speak about something that's fundamental. It's not what it delivers. It's simply the fact that it exists. And a lot of this energy deep within divine union, navigating into that space, like that is the energetic gift. Like that is the gift that they give each other. And that is that point that, again, they feel that sense or that space of delivering to others as well. While for masculine and feminine energy that is coming into divine union, a lot of that work that we're seeing here, focusing on, like there's a lot of the energy right now that goes, I don't know if this is going to work or not, right? This is energy. I'm telling you right now, there's a lot of energy right now working through a difficulty in an energetic connection. But that sense of the energy saying, I'm willing to put in the work. I'm willing to do what is necessary. I'm willing to do what it energetically takes. This is the energy that, again, recognizes that, again, they're not holding on to the energetic outcome. They're not thinking about the long term. They're focusing on the moment. And there's having that moment of saying to one another, regardless of the energetic outcome, there's no one else I would rather be doing this work with than being right here with you now. Like, that's a lot of that energy that I see even now, like, taking those new approaches. It feels like a bit of that fresh start, but the fresh start from within, right? The fresh start from recognizing what one can change within. While for masculine and feminine energy, that is in separation right now. For a lot of this energy in separation, this is a lot of the energy that's maintaining and focusing and holding their energetic standards, right? Because I just see a lot of the energy in separation that, this is the energy saying, like, they're just very present in the moment, right? This isn't the energy that is like, this is, and I like this because these are new energetic connections that are very focused on the present. Like, I almost see someone being like, I'm not really thinking about the long term. I just feel this easement with someone. I just feel this comfortability with them. I'm not really thinking about the long term. I see a lot of energy going, I'm not really thinking about the long term, but it feels so good to be around someone. Like, there's a lot of that energy that is doing so in a way that feels restorative, because these are energies that are coming into alignment to a certain extent. And that easement, like that easy feeling, is one. And again, what is another way of saying I love you? You make something easy. You make something feel easy. So this is the gift of easement that some of the energy is receiving right now in some of the starts of these new energetic connections, via that sense of saying, I don't know where this is going, but I like the ease. I like the ease through which we are able to navigate that together, Continuing, final card for today's spread, between our Six of Swords in its reversal in combination with our Seven of Pentacles in its transverse. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Sun card in its upright. Look at these combinations of center cards right now. You see this? We've got our Nine of Cups. We've got our Tower card tucked in the middle, and then we've got the Sun here, right? So this is saying to me, like, this is giving me a lot of energy here that feels like it feels like a cloud break, to be perfectly honest. It feels like that positivity moment. For masculine and feminine energy in separation, I just see that I feel like there's some, like, either these are either connections that are moving, like, in separation, starting to build forth on new energetic connections, really slow, like this is slow, but that slowness I'm seeing even now, like that slowness, it feels, because why is the energy not rushing? Because this is a lot of the energy says, I feel very content. I feel very easy on where this is right now. This is exactly what I need it to be, right? And so that sense of not feeling like, not someone not trying to rush forward, right? Like the energy almost feeling like they're keeping pace with one another, building into that, like, syncopation, having that sense of feeling that easement. This is what's allowing for so much of, I see a lot of the energy right now in separation, feeling that sense of positivity. And just feeling like a sense of, like, I want to say even like something difficult, but feeling like the gratitude and having navigated away from some kind of point of energetic difficulty, and I see even now, like, I see that energy saying sometimes it's harder, sometimes it's better, but that's normal as well, right? Because we see even now that for a lot of that energy, having some moments in separation right now and reclaiming your joy is also on the pathwork of healing. While for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union, for a lot of that energy coming into divine union right now, I just see and recognize that this is the energy that is got absolute conviction in coming into a positive outcome. Right? And and I got to stress this, when you've got mutual energies that have absolute conviction to move towards a positive energetic outcome, like this is the energy that when we say like you feel like it's not fake it until you make it, it's feel it until you heal it. Like this is the energy saying it is a joy to try to be able to repair something, because this is the energy that says the joy in repairing something is the optimism and saying we can get through this, and feeling a bit of that sense of hurdle of saying we aren't trying, we are doing it, right? Like this is the energy that's reminding one another and saying there's no trying, you're either doing it or you're not. And this is the energy saying we're not trying to improve, we're doing it, we're actively working on that partnership. While for masculine and feminine energy, deep within divine union, this is that energetic support that you give to one another, even in those moments that you feel energetically vulnerable, right? These are those moments, like the energy deep within divine union. We talked about a lot this, like last week, those moments of doing things that are difficult, or feeling those spaces or places of feeling that lack of confidence, and saying to one another and saying, what do you need? How can I energetically support you? Arriving and being there for one another. Like a lot of that energetic gift here, this is the energy that says to one another, if you're like, I know you might work tirelessly, but I'm going to be here to support you every step of the way, because this is the energy that says what you put forth isn't where your integral intrinsic value is. It's who you are, right? And so we see even now, like that's a lot of that energy that puts, like, again, this is the energy deep within divine union, that when those cracks arrive, they shine the light into them for one another, right? They fill those cracks and crevices with that sense of saying, you're like, that's the energetic support, and saying to someone, you don't need to be perfect, because I'm here in those moments that you're not, right? Final card for today's spread is, the Fool card in its reversal. A lot of energetic wisdom coming through right now, across all of the frequencies. And here's the thing about wisdom. Wisdom stinks. Like wisdom stinks. Wisdom, I point this out. Smart is something that you get out of a book. Wisdom is usually a history of failure. Wisdom is usually a history of failure. Every time you fail at something, you learn something really energetically important, right? So we see even now that there's a lot of that energy here, that like that's that bittersweetness, right? Like that's that difficulty point, because this is the energy again that finds that perfection in the imperfection, because it's through that path work, right? And it's having a different effect on all the frequencies. For a lot of the energy in separation, I keep saying I see a lot of the energy in separation going, I was not expecting to be here. Like I was not expecting to be here. But that's the point. That's the space. Like this is the energy that says, like the identification point, being able to say, like, I understand and recognize, like, the lessons as I'm moving through. Like this is the energy that is moving forward in separation with a sense of conscientiousness, with a sense of emotional care. And that's why if the energy finds themselves in a point of trepidation, they don't see that, they don't take it personally, because they see that as that nurturing energy, and saying that care that you bring, like often it creates that sense of like energetic trepidation, because this is the energy that moves very intentionally, but also very strongly. right? Like there's a lot of that strength in that healing path. And this is almost a lot of the energy in separation saying, don't mistake that fragility for weakness. Because I always like to point out, fragility is usually the sign of vast amplitude of strength. Because energy that is strong realizes the power of their touch, so they handle things very carefully. While for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union, this is a lot of energy that feels weak, right now. But that is not the weakness of someone that feels like they're weak. This is the energy that amplifies and feels that sense of weakness and saying, I feel energetically weak because I'm learning to do something I haven't done before. And every time I do it, I get a little bit more energetically strong. So that's that weakness that feels like, a point of strength because it's sore, right? It's sore, but it's sore from being used. It's sore from being handled. It's sore from doing something in a way and being like, ugh, but like in a positive way. While for masculine and feminine energy, deep within divine union, there's a lot of this energy that feels a lot of, like, I want to say, energetic fragility right now. And that's the energy that, again, feels that energetic instability moment. And someone says, I'm here with you every step of the way. You don't need to be strong all the time because we don't need to be perfect. This is the energy that says, when you're feeling weak, I'm here to carry you, right? When you're feeling less confident, I'm here to give you a bit of my confidence. Like that is the gift that we give in the space of compassion. We don't amplify how we're feeling. We look with care towards the other and say, what can I give you right now to support you on your energetic journey? That is where we find all of the energy for today's reading. I want to thank you guys so much for being here to experience it. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my website, graystrega.com. Please keep in mind if you book a private reading with me, it is a 2-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you would like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I'll never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my website. So I encourage you to do it there. A couple of updates before we move into personal readings right now. First and foremost, thank you to everyone who attended my tarot class last week on the lovers. We will be continuing our tarot journey with a focus on the Chariot card. I am so excited to teach this card. I feel like it's often misinterpreted, so I'm very happy to be able to walk you through my insights and relationality to the card. If you are interested in becoming a part of that class program, or if you missed the last class and would like to catch up, all you need to do is head over to my Substack, graystrega.substack.com. Your paid subscription to my Substack will grant you access and entry not only into our live classes each month, but they will also grant you access to the library of classes and course materials that we've already studied thus far. So now is actually a perfect time to join because our next class is going to be held on Wednesday, November 13th. So you've got about a full month to catch up. Now it's not necessary to catch up. I do a recap of each class before we proceed forward, but it's nice to be able to have that there for your perusal. So this would be a great opportunity to join now. Also, if you are a subscriber here to my TikTok, make sure that before you go ahead and get that Substack subscription, you head over to our subscriber-only Discord channel, because over on the Discord, you will find a perk section that has a special coupon code so that you can get an additional discount on those classes. Also, when you become a subscriber to that Substack, you'll have access to a one-on-one chat with me and the other students to ask any questions in relation to anything that we've learned thus far. And if you become a founding member to my Substack, not only will you receive a discount on the full year's worth of classes, but you will also receive a complimentary one-on-one mentorship class with me, wherein I will assess where you are on your own personal tarot journey and give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize those classes and your own personal study to the best of your advantage going forward towards your goals. One of the things I tried to do in these classes was make them accessible to the absolute novice tarot reader as well as the seasoned reader. There's definitely something there for everyone. So I want to thank you if you're just joining us there for the first time, and I look forward to potentially seeing you at our next class. And even if you don't become a paid subscriber to my Substack, I would encourage you to follow me there, because that's where I post each day's full podcast as well as the photo of each day's spread. You'll also have access to my newsletter, which will let you know about my in-person events as well as my weekly online schedule. You'll also get notified as to our giveaways. Speaking of giveaways, we are in the process of having our October giveaway. If you are interested in joining that giveaway to win a free private personal tarot reading with me, head over to the link tree in my bio. There is a 2-minute travel survey there. Filling out that travel survey will grant you an entry into the giveaway. But if you would like to increase your chances of winning, go ahead and forward that survey to a friend, because when I pull the winner, not only am I gifting a free reading to the person that wins, but I'm also gifting one to whoever referred them. So I want to thank you so much if you've already entered, and I wish you the best of luck of winning this month. Finally, I also want to let you guys know that we're currently have our application or our moderator applications open. If you would like to join my moderation team, which I consider some of the best, most valuable people I know, I want to thank, one of the ways I give back is by offering free a gift back program of tarot readings in exchange for your services here. If you're interested in applying, all you need to do is head over to the link, my Substack. There is a navigation at the top navigation. You will find a link to apply. Also, you can email me directly at gracestrega@gmail.com. Finally, I want to let you guys know that on top of my standard readings, my standard life path readings, I also offer mentorship classes. My mentorship classes are personalized classes that are focused on one-on-one education on whatever area or course of study you are most interested in learning more about. I take a very limited number of students for this reason. Those classes can be purchased on an individual level or as a monthly class series. So that is 4 45-minute readings, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits. Also, for my clients that are seeking more consistent weekly tarot support, I'm very happy to be offering weekly tarot insight packages. That is a package of 4 30-minute readings, weekly or bi-weekly, again, as your schedule permits, so that you can stay more consistent on your journey. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today and sharing in these messages, and we will do this again